On this episode of the Mr. Productivity Podcast, you'll discover key habits that elevate your productivity and transform your daily routine. You'll also learn how to integrate simple, powerful changes to make every day more effective. Hi, I'm Mark, and this is the Mr. Productivity Podcast, the show that is dedicated to empowering you to conquer distractions, prioritize effectively, and gain daily clarity. Now, before we begin, I have a very important question to ask, and I hope your answer is a resounding yes. Would you like some free training from me, Mr. Productivity? Well, I can hear you screaming yes into your headphones, which I can't even hear, but that's okay. I got you. Then I want you to head on over to my website, MrProductivity.com, M-I-S-T-E-R, MrProductivity.com. Enter your email address at the top of the page and click the button that's in Kentucky blue, my favorite color, that says grab the free training. That's it. It's my gift to you, free training from Mr. Productivity. And that's MrProductivity.com in case you didn't get that. All right, let's get started. There was an author, Robin Sharma. He wrote the 5 a.m. Club. And one of the things he says all the time is, if you want you to remember something, he says, tattoo this on your brain, or this is a brain tattoo. And so I have a brain tattoo for you. You cannot outrun a bad diet. I'm a victim of too much sugar. I've got a little sugar belly going on. And I don't drink beer, so there's no other reason for it. It's a sugar belly. And I run every day. And it doesn't matter how much I run, you cannot run a bad diet. Let's start off with a whole bunch of ideas on how you can have healthy daily habits to boost your productivity. So exercise. We just talked about how you can't outrun a bad diet. The Department of Health and Human Services in the United States recommends most healthy adults get at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity every week, or a combination of moderate and vigorous activity. My rule of thumb is 30 minutes of moderate physical exercise every day. You may or may not know, my mother passed away in June of 2022 from Alzheimer's, and I got a chance to talk to her doctor. And he says, as we get older, we become sedentary. And when we become sedentary, we have those blood vessels in our brain calcify. And one of the things you can do is exercise. Now, you don't have to run a 5K every day. You can briskly walk. You want to break out into a mild sweat, elevate the heart rate. You can lift weights. You can do, my mom used to do jazzercise. You can literally, all you can have to do is put your headphones on or jack up the music without making your neighbors mad and jump around the house, whatever. Go play with your dogs for a while for 30 minutes every day. And not saying you won't get Alzheimer's, that you won't get dementia, that you won't have other issues, but it's going to be as something advantageous you can do. Next thing is water. There are varying studies of how much water should you drink. I did a whole bunch of research, and it always used to be half your weight in ounces of water every day. And then I found some articles that say, go check with your doctor. I'm not going to go to my doctor, pay a copay just to find out how much water I should be drinking, because he's probably going to say half your weight in ounces of water. But you should be drinking more water than most people are, because our body, our brain, our blood vessels are made up of the majority of water. Not Diet Coke, not coffee, not tea, not vodka, not wine, but water. So I'm pretty sure that we're supposed to be drinking water. I went and found an article from the National Council of Aging, and they list 10 reasons why you should drink more water. Number one, improved brain performance. Even mild dehydration, as little as 2% fluid loss, can affect memory, mood, concentration, and reaction time. Number two, digestive harmony. Your body needs water in order to digest food properly. Number three, more energy. Dehydration can slow down circulation and affect the flow of oxygen to the brain, and the brain needs oxygen, in case you weren't aware. A lack of fluids can cause your heart to work harder to pump oxygen all throughout your body. Number four, weight loss. or weight loss management. Since it provides a sense of fullness, water can actually help you feel satisfied in between meals instead of heading to the snack cupboard. Number 5, decrease joint pain. Did you know that the cartilage in our joints contains approximately 80% water? Number 6, better temperature regulation. Research has shown that when you're dehydrated, your body stores more heat. Number 7, kidney stone prevention. I've never had a kidney stone. I've talked to people who've had, and it's not something you want to do. Kidney stones are clumps of mineral crystals that form in the urinary tract. Number 8, a healthier heart. Your blood is made up of largely water, like I mentioned. When you don't drink enough glasses of water, it becomes concentrated, which can cause an imbalance of vital minerals, electrolytes. These minerals, like potassium and sodium, are key to the proper functioning of your heart. Number 9, improve detoxification. Sufficient water intake supports your body's natural detoxification systems, which removes waste and harmful substances through urination, breathing, perspiration, and bowel movements. And number 10, fewer headaches. Even a mild fluid loss can cause the brain to contract away from the skull, leading to headaches or migraines in some individuals. When my mother was alive, before she had Alzheimer's, I used to make fun of my mom because she goes, I can taste the water. I can't drink the water from the tap. I got to have bottled water. And I used to make fun of my mom. Now I'm a water snob, so I will only drink Fiji mountain spring water or Evian water. We first got exposed to Evian water when we went to France back in 2010. It's got electrolytes in it. All water is not created equal. The number one thing when I talk to people about drinking more water, the number one thing they say is, oh, it's so boring. Well, and you find out they're drinking either tap water or they're drinking the cheap bottled water from Walmart or some grocery store instead of buying a higher brand. So don't buy the soda, buy a better quality water, and you'll probably stick to drinking more water. I use an app called Waterminder. It's not the only app out there, and I track my water that I drink all day long. And it's like a gamification. I'm a fan of gamifying my productivity. Okay, next up, the next healthy habit is eat a healthy diet. Eliminate or significantly reduce your intake of ultra-processed foods, especially sugar and refined carbs. Ultra-processed foods are foods containing ingredients that are significantly modified from their original form. They often contain additives like added sugar, highly refined oil, salt, preservatives, artificial sweeteners, colors, and flavors. If you're not sure, it's probably ultra-processed. Eating out, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Jack in the Box, et cetera, that's processed food, ultra-processed foods. There's a case say, oh, Diet Coke doesn't have sugar in it. Yeah, but have you looked at the ingredients list on any beverage? Can you say 90% of the ingredients that are on the ingredients label? Think about finding alternatives for eating healthy. Something my doctor told me 10, 15 years ago, always have healthy snacks on hand and don't have junk food around. Because if you go to your kitchen and you're hungry and you're like, carrots or Oreo cookies? Come on, what do you think you're going to choose? Your body, mostly your tongue, is going to go, ooh, Oreos, yeah, not that bad, right? They wouldn't sell it if it was bad for us. I hear that all the time. A great resource for you to listen or read is a book by Gary Taubes, Taubes. It's called The Case Against Sugar. I listened to this book twice, and when you hear the way we have been infected with sugar over the last 100 or so years, you're going to see how back in Jesus' day, there weren't a lot of fat people. Why? Only the royalty were usually heavy because they had access to sugar. The poor people didn't. They had to walk everywhere. Like I always say, Jesus didn't take an Uber. Nowadays, we work from home a lot or we're in our cars. But I encourage you to go listen or read Gary Taubes' book, The Case Against Sugar. Even if you know the truth about sugar, just because you know the truth doesn't mean you're going to abide by it. A theory that Gary talks about in the book, A Case Against Sugar, And I've seen other articles online. They are now beginning to connect the dots that cancer loves sugar. It actually feeds off it. And now they're hypothesizing, could high consumption of sugar lead to cancer? Now, all the connections have not been made yet, but that's what they're doing a lot of research on. So I'd rather err on eating less sugar. I'm not saying eliminate sugar. Okay, I don't think you can eliminate sugar. We're so addicted to it. The bottom line is the body doesn't need sugar. Think about it. Cavemen, the original people on this planet, Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, they did not have sugar. They didn't go have a Snickers bar or go get a smoothie. And they made it just fine. Matter of fact, Methuselah lived 969 years old. No sugar. Maybe he had figs. That was the only sugar they had back there is figs and maybe honey. All right. If you smoke, please stop. If you're not smoking, don't start. This includes marijuana, includes cigarettes, cigars, pipes. There's nothing good that comes out of this stuff. If you drink alcohol, drink in moderation. I actually happened to see an article that says now they're rethinking a glass of wine a day may be good for you. Now they're saying, now they're doing more research and they're saying, maybe not. So just because doctors and other experts and scientists said 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 years ago that this stuff was good, maybe now it's no longer good for you. And so if you drink alcohol, I would encourage you to do some research first. Say, okay, if I'm going to have stuff that's not water, what are the best things? Like people say Gatorade. Gatorade's got a ton of sugar in it. There's Gatorade that doesn't have sugar in it. It's got electrolytes on it. It has a little flavor in it. But for that, you can just get water. So I just encourage you to do your research. Don't just grab something and start drinking it. Start being mindful of the alcohol you're drinking. I don't drink because I hate the taste of alcohol. I think I'm blessed that way, but you do you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is grounding, not grounding your children, but it's also known as earthing. There's a free resource for you here. The Earthing movie, The Remarkable Science of Grounding. It's a full documentary. It's available free on YouTube. It's really simple. You just go barefoot on grass, dirt, sand. If you're swimming in a lake, you are grounding. Not in a pool, because a pool has a bottom with the concrete and all that stuff. Get walking barefoot on the sidewalk or on a road doesn't count because the concrete, it's got to be the ground. I can tell you it works. Now, a lot of people have told me, oh my gosh, this is a big scam. I said, well, first of all, it's not a scam because I'm not paying anybody. Okay. I take my shoes and socks off. I go in my backyard. I'm not paying anybody for doing that. Now, I know if you live up north, not saying going out when it's 22 degrees and there's snow on the ground, although you can, because the snow is on the ground, but I don't recommend it. It's probably not too comfortable. Although I know people have done it. I know people who are so into grounding, and you can find these people on the internet. They go out, and I'm not making this up. They go out in the dead of winter, 20, 30 degrees outside. They shovel a little spot of dirt or on grass. And then what they do, I don't know if they use a blowtorch or they put something, they warm up the ground a little bit and they actually ground that way. Now that's really being dedicated for me. But if you can't do that, you can actually go out and buy grounding mats. So you can actually be on your computer working and have your feet on a grounding mat. And what it does, it plugs into the outlet into your wall and it grounds. A little asterisk here, not all grounding mats are created equal. There's a lot of crap products out there. If you're going to get a grounding mat because you live in an environment or you can't go outside because you work in an office, get a grounding mat, but do your research, please. Do your research. I think in the Earthing movie, you just have to do your research. Just don't go to Amazon and buy one because it may not actually work. It's actually got a ground. And what the grounding mats do, it does the same thing as when you're outside. You put your bare feet on the mat, and then your energy goes out your foot, in the grounding mat, into the wall, and to wherever that goes after that. So just something to think about. According to the National Institute of Health, grounding appears to improve sleep, normalize the day-night cortisol rhythm, reduce pain, reduce stress, shift the autonomic nervous system from sympathetic toward parasympathetic activation, increase heart rate variability, speed wound healing, and reduce blood viscosity. Going along with grounding, going along with healthy habits to boost your productivity, vitamin D. The best way you can get vitamin D is from the sun. If you get vitamin D from the sun, don't slap on suntan lotion, because suntan lotion is designed to block the very waves that are giving you the vitamin D. If you can't get vitamin D from the sun, the second best is a vitamin D lamp. I know Amazon sells one. It's called Spurty lamp. It's like $600, but it's actual vitamin D. And if you have to rely on supplements, again, please do your research. Make sure your supplements are well sourced. If you're not sure, or if they're really cheap, there's probably a reason why. It's really important to get your vitamin D. I am convinced that me getting a lot of vitamin D is one of the reasons why I have not been sick in years. And when I do get sick, I get over it quickly. I can't prove it. I'm just sharing what I experience. Next, let's talk about sleep. Sleep, I always say, get 7 to 9 hours consistent sleep, but it's more than that. You need to properly wind down before you go to sleep. What does this mean? No stress, at least 2 hours before bed. So if you got little kids, try to avoid the arguments of bath and bedtime routines and bedtime stories and getting jammies on. Don't argue with your spouse. Don't argue with your friends. Stay off of social media, because stress is going to ramp you up and you're going to have trouble going to sleep. I encourage you to continue to cut screens off about 45 minutes before your head hits the pillow. I do 45 minutes. You can read a print book. You can read a Kindle book. You can read a print magazine, but I wouldn't read anything that's going to get you riled up. Don't read about the politics of the day or wars and stuff like that, because you want your body to want to go into sleep. The experts recommend at least 7 hours of sleep. I encourage you to track your sleep. Make sure you are consistent with your bedtime. Go to bed the same time every night. Get up the same time every morning. Have the same routine. I know it's not always easy if you go on vacation, conferences, work, whatever like that. People get sick, but try to maintain consistency as much as you can, because the body thrives on that. Make sure you're sleeping in a cool, dark room. I have to have air moving around. So it could be when we had the winter storm in February 21, I still had my ceiling fan going on. I got to have air moving. I can't have air not moving. It drives me nuts, but you do you. But they study has shown you got to have a cool room, dark and free of noise, unless you're using something like white noise or something like that. Now, if you need a nap, do not nap more than 30 minutes and do not be asleep after the 6 hour mark before bed. The earlier you can take a nap, the better. Some people, what they do is they have lunch and then they take a 20-minute nap, 15-minute nap, just enough to get them through the day. Let's talk about stress and negativity. Please avoid as much as you can stress and negativity. I want you to think about, what are you watching, whether on YouTube or social media or on television, or maybe out in public? Who are you following on social media? Are they encouraging you to be the best version of yourself? Or are they telling you, oh, the world's horrible, we're all going to die? It matters. What are you reading? Like I just alluded to before bed. Are you reading things that are going to help you achieve your goals? Or are you reading doom and gloom stuff? I can read doom and gloom stuff a little bit. Like I have a saying, stay informed, not obsessed. So I know what's going on in the world, but I can't tell you everything that's going on in the world about everything. And finally, who are you hanging around? I know you may have friends and neighbors and colleagues for years, but are they Eeyores? I'm using my favorite reference of Winnie the Pooh. Are they Eeyores? Are they, oh, it's going to rain all day. The sun's never going to come out. I'm never going to get a raise. I'm going to lose my house. I know I'm going to get hit by a car. I mean, why do you want to hang around people like that? So I encourage you, even if they're family members, if they are Eeyores, you need to distance yourself from them. It may be hard if you've been friends with them for a long time, or you're going to have Easter dinner or Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving or 4th of July or Memorial Day. You may say, yeah, I got something else going on this weekend. If you know there's going to be a bunch of drama. Swim in the pool of positivity, meditation, and mindfulness. I always struggled with meditation because I thought maybe I'm doing it wrong, or is someone watching, or I'm not feeling anything. All mindfulness is just being quiet. Don't overthink it. Don't complicate it. Just be quiet outdoors. That's going to do wonders for you. If you can combine grounding like I do, and maybe even out in the sun, so you get vitamin D, your grounding, and your mindfulness, boom, the trifecta. All right, blood pressure, the next healthy habit. The best thing you can do is always track your blood pressure and your weight. The number one thing you can do to lower your blood pressure is to lower your weight, not take a pill. So I weigh myself every morning on the iPhone. There's a health app. I weigh myself every morning. I take my blood pressure every day. You cannot fix what you don't know. You can't think, well, I know my blood pressure's high, so I'm not going to take it. Well, how high is it? Are you about ready to have a stroke? You need to take care of this stuff, because blood pressure and weight are really crucial, vital signs for the doctor to know if you are doing well. Next healthy habit is talk to someone. You don't have to go through life alone. If you have an issue, go talk to someone. It could be a trusted friend. It could be a coach. It could be a therapist. It could be your pastor. It could be whatever. But don't sit there and just say, well, I'm just having a bad day. Reach out to someone. Just say, hey, I'm not having a good day. You know, we all have good days. We all have bad days, hopefully more good days than bad days. But you can't just go through life saying to yourself, well, you know, no one wants to hear my problem. People who love you, people who are close to you, people who care about you, or people you pay like a therapist, they want you to talk, and you need to talk. So if you got an issue, talk to someone. And if you just want to vent, make sure you set that bar when you go and you talk to whoever. You tell them, hey, I want to vent. I want you to listen, but I don't want any feedback from you. Because I've gotten in trouble with people where I give them feedback and they go, I didn't want feedback. Well, set that expectation in the beginning, but don't go through life alone. Next, reduce screen time. Screens are everywhere. Our phones, our computers, our 300-inch 4K TVs, even in our cars, we have screens everywhere. You need to take a break from this tech. And I encourage you to begin implementing regular tech-free time. I know this is a big ask. I know this is like, did he really say don't use technology? Yes. Maybe you start with an hour. Now, when I say tech-free time, I am not going to include two devices. One, if you wear a wearable to track your heart rate, to track your activities, it's okay to keep wearing that as long as you don't use it while you're on tech-free time. So I'm not saying take it off, put it in the drawer. You can still wear it. Just don't check text messages and all that stuff on there. Just let it be on your wrist, doing its thing in the background. The second thing is if you're reading a book on a Kindle, not the Kindle app on your iPhone or your iPad or some other tablet. If you're using an actual Kindle, I don't consider that technology because it's actually just an ebook. Now, you can technically surf the web on the Kindle, but it's not very good. Maybe you start with an hour, then go to 2, then go to 4, then go for 8 hours. If you're a solopreneur like me, I can use LinkedIn's built-in scheduler. I can use Hootsuite. I can use Buffer, and I can still post my content. Take breaks from technology. And one of the things I'm really big on is micro breaks. Micro breaks are time away from technology. When you're not on another device, don't leave the laptop and get on your phone, but maybe you take your dog for a walk. And don't be on your phone. You can bring your phone with you, but maybe put it on Do Not Disturb and just enjoy the walk with your dog. Technology is a blessing and a curse, but I see too many people, it's a curse because they're always on their laptop, they're always on their phone, they're always on their tablet, and they're always distracted. Matter of fact, if I'm talking to someone and they pick up their phone, I stop talking because they're not paying attention. And they go, yeah, go ahead. No, you're not listening to me. I want to see your eyeballs. So maybe you have to do something like that. Set boundaries in your life. Finally, I want to talk to you about planning. Please do not plan every minute of your day unless you are going to schedule time for micro breaks and exercising and meditation or mindfulness and personal development. If you are going to plan those, then it's okay to schedule every minute of your day. What people do is they schedule business development, content creation, master classes, podcast interviews. And it's, what are you going to, when's your personal development time? When are you going to do mindfulness? When are you going to exercise? And they have no room because their schedule's wall to wall. So if you are going to schedule all these other things in your day, then it's okay to schedule wall to wall. And when you're scheduling your plan, make sure 80% of your day, you're working on stuff that's going to move you towards your goals. Now, if you work for a corporation, obviously when you're on the clock for them, you have to take care of their goals. But I hope you have some personal goals on your time, and you need to work on those every day. I know I'm asking a lot, but you need to work on these things every single day. It may be you work on your website for 5 minutes. It may be you work on a course you took for 5 minutes, but you need to plan for the future, shall we say? You need to plan where, what if I lose my job? What if my company's bought out and they say, hey, we don't need you anymore? If you haven't taken the time to plan by building up a side hustle, then it's like, ruh-roh, now what happens? So I want you to take how many habits? I gave you a lot more than 15 probably. Habits, I want you to pick one that you're not doing that you feel is really going to move the needle for you. So I gave you a lot to think about, but I want you to pick just one to start with. Then you can come back and get another one.
Wow, that was a lot, but it's a lot because I know that it's really easy to get overwhelmed with thinking about what is the next thing I absolutely need to do? What is the one habit I need to put into my life? And so I want to give you a multiplicity of habits and then have you pick one, kind of like an a la carte buffet, if you will. Is that a thing? A la carte buffet? Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter for the sake of this podcast. But just pick out one thing that I talked about on the show today that you're not currently doing and go implement that in your life. Don't forget, if you'd like some free training from me, Mr. Productivity, head on over to my website, MrProductivity.com, MISTER, MrProductivity.com. And if you haven't done so already, please follow this podcast on whatever podcast player you're listening to it on. That way, that podcast player will show this episode and this show to other people so I can help them like I have helped you. Thank you so much for your time and attention, for listening to the episode today. I really appreciate you. Until we meet again, my friend, with a brand new episode, don't forget, stay productive and stay positive.